It's very difficult to sit here and listen to arguments in the long history of this country of using scripture and weaponizing and abusing scripture to justify bigotry. White supremacists have done it. Those who justified slavery did it. Those who fought against integration did it. And we're seeing it today. And sometimes, especially in this body, I feel as though if Christ himself walked through these doors and said what he said thousands of years ago, that we should love our neighbor and our enemy, that we should welcome the stranger, fight for the least of us, that it is easier for a rich man, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into a kingdom of heaven, he would be maligned as a radical and rejected from these doors. And it is part of my faith that all people are holy and all people are sacred, unconditionally. And that is what makes faith sometimes, that's what prompts us to transform, because it is unconditional. It's not about that it is up to us to love parts of people. We love all people. There is nothing holy about rejecting medical care of people, no matter who they are on the grounds of what their identity is. There is nothing holy about turning someone away from a hospital. There's nothing holy about rejecting a child from a family. There's nothing holy about writing discrimination into the law. And I am tired of communities of faith being weaponized and being mischaracterized because the only time religious freedom is invoked is in the name of bigotry and discrimination.
All I can say is that it's about time Democrats spoke up about the right stranglehold on so-called religious values, when in fact there is nothing religious about their agenda. We're talking about a political party that has stood idly by while children were being locked in cages because of an administration more sympathetic to white nationalists than immigrants fleeing for their lives. A political party that doesn't believe in healthcare for everyone in the richest country in the history of the world because they'd rather entrench a system where health insurance companies' CEOs are making millions of dollars per year. A political party that calls itself pro-life and yet shills for a gun lobby in a country where 40,000 Americans die at the hands of firearms every year. A political party that offered unquestioning support to a guy who bragged about sexually assaulting women and even paid women off for affairs while his wife was at home pregnant with their last child. So either I have a fundamental misunderstanding of what religion is actually supposed to represent, or it's been hijacked by Republicans using it as a shield while they destroy everything that it's supposed to stand for. By the way, this is the same political party that predicated its entire existence on undermining Barack Obama, who was not only a church-going Christian, not only the husband to his first wife and loving father to his 2 children, but who committed the cardinal sin of trying to give as many people health care as he could. Yeah, I'm sure Jesus was just up there weeping at the very thought. But with regard to so-called religious freedom as it exists today, let's just be honest here. This isn't about some attack on Christianity in this country. Christianity isn't going anywhere. I know that Republicans like to whip everyone up into a frenzy by pointing to Starbucks cups with snowmen on them instead of Jesus himself nailed to the cross, or claiming that department stores aren't saying Merry Christmas anymore. But to be honest, if your religion is so fragile that you need the validation of a department store, if the decoration on a coffee cup is enough to hobble your beliefs, then maybe the foundations of your religion aren't very strong. In actuality, the phrase religious freedom in the United States is simply a way to discriminate against those who don't fall within the narrow confines of what a few extremists have decided that Christianity means. The Vice President of the United States rose to prominence for the law that he signed in 2015 called the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, which basically made it okay to discriminate to protect religious liberty. And in case there was any doubt as to the true intent of this law, when Pence appeared on an interview with ABC's George Stephanopoulos after the bill's passage, he refused 6 different times to answer whether the bill would allow a business to discriminate against gay couples.
So this is a yes or no question. Is Advance America right when they say a florist in Indiana can now refuse to serve a gay couple without fear of punishment?
Well, let me explain to you. The purpose of this bill is very simply to empower individuals when they believe that actions of government impinge on their constitutional First Amendment freedom of religion.
Yes or no? If a florist in Indiana refuses to serve a gay couple at their wedding, is that legal now in Indiana?
George, this is where this debate has gone with misinformation and frankly,
it's just a question, sir. Yes or no?
Well, there's been shameless rhetoric about my state and about this law and about its intention all over the internet. People are trying to make it about one particular issue, and now you're doing that as well.
Is that true or not?
George, look, the issue here is, is tolerance a two-way street or not?
When you say tolerance is a two-way street, does that mean that Christians who want to refuse service, or people of any other faith who want to refuse service to gays and lesbians, that it's now legal in the state of Indiana? That's a simple yes or no question.
George, the question here is if there is a government action or a law that an individual believes impinges on their religious liberty, they have the opportunity to go to court.
Final yes or no question, Governor. Do you think it should be legal in the state of Indiana to discriminate against gays or lesbians?
George,
it's a yes or no question.
Come on.
Because the only meaning of religious freedom here is that it restricts the rights of others. It's just another way of dressing up discrimination. And it's sad that people are willing to exploit religion, to exploit something they claim to care about, to exploit something so sacred to so many people. But exploitation is exactly what it is. And I can't believe I need to say this, but treating people equally is not an affront to your religious beliefs. So if you are a religious person, if you actually believe in the teachings of Christianity as they're written and not as they've been perverted by a bunch of politicians exploiting those beliefs for personal gain, then you need to speak out. Because if you don't, then the GOP will continue dragging your principles through the mud to promote an agenda that is vile and cruel and inhumane and anything but Christian.